When a person tries to defy the natural order of life, does that person take responsibility for their actions? Or does the creator abandon the creation? One could even say abandon their child, all for the sake of scientific curiosity? This is my review of Frankenstein, the original story by Mary Shelley. So, the novel opens up with letters written by Robert Walton to his sister Margaret Saville. Detailing his travels and ambitions, what immediately stood out to me is how affectionate and sincere Walton feels. He comes across as someone who deeply loves his family and longs to be understood. Despite being largely self-educated through his uncle's library, mainly books about voyages and life at sea, Walton's letters are filled with warmth, wonder, and emotional honesty. They're beautifully written, and you can feel his enthusiasm through his words. That said, when Walton casually mentions being gone at sea for many years, I couldn't help but think how absurd and impulsive that sounded, almost reckless. Eventually, Walton recounts a disastrous incident at sea and his encounter with the mysterious, well-spoken man taken aboard his ship, Victor Frankenstein. Now, Victor's story reflects some harsh truths of the time. Wealthy families suddenly losing everything, children becoming orphans due to war, and the fragile nature of security. We're introduced to Elizabeth, who Victor refers to as his cousin. This section strongly highlights the idea of found family. That family isn't always defined by blood. Victor's mother longed for a daughter, and Elizabeth became that missing piece. Victor grows up fascinated by old philosophies, Greek myths, and tales like King Arthur. He befriends Henry Clerval, keeping his circle small while nurturing an intense hunger for knowledge, especially knowledge of the unknown. Witnessing lightning destroy a massive oak tree becomes a defining moment, foreshadowing where this journey of curiosity will lead him. At just 17, Victor leaves for college and nearly loses Elizabeth to a violent fever. His mother sacrifices herself caring for her and dies as a result of said fever. This moment raised a question for me. Did Victor's mother take Elizabeth in solely out of love, or was she also shaping Elizabeth to one day become Victor's ideal wife? As Victor immerses himself in his studies, he begins planning the creation of the perfect human, and I'm saying that with air quotes here. He hasn't returned home in 2 years and clearly fears telling his father what he's doing. I also don't appreciate how one professor mocked Victor's early education, dismissing it as childish nonsense. Being the professor of natural philosophy, I think it was. Yeah, natural philosophy. Still, Victor's friendship with Henry Clerval remains one of the few genuinely warm elements in his life. After 2 years of obsessive work at Ingolstadt University, Victor succeeds in bringing his creation to life, only to be horrified by the result. He immediately abandons it and collapses into a violent fever himself, nursed back to health by the only Henry Clerval. So this chapter captures something deeply human for me. The shock of bringing new life to the world without any plan, responsibility, or emotional readiness. It reflects neglectful parenting and the consequences of creating life without care. This brings me to my favorite quote in the novel from chapter 5. The different acts of life are not so changeable as the feelings of human nature. Frankenstein, chapter 5, Mary Shelley. That line really stayed with me even after I got done reading. So, continuing on, Elizabeth later writes to Victor about events in Geneva, including the tragic treatment of Justine Moritz. Soon after young William is murdered, it becomes painfully clear that the creature will do anything to make Victor acknowledge him, good or bad. Justine becomes a scapegoat, wrongfully condemned and executed. Instead of killing his creator outright, the creature inflicts pain by taking away those Victor loves the most. The ripple of grief is devastating. Victor spirals into guilt, regret, and isolation. He recognizes that his attempt to defy life and death has destroyed everything around him. When Victor finally confronts the creature, though, the being explains its suffering, its loneliness, rejection, and desire for companionship. I see the creature not just as Victor's experiment, but as a mirror of Victor's own inner darkness and intrusive thoughts. As the creature recounts its time observing the DeLacy family, that's the family of the blind man here, so learning language, empathy, and the beauty of nature, we see what could have been. It learns kindness before it ever learns cruelty. However, despite my sympathy, I cannot justify the murders, especially of William and Justine. A monster is defined by their actions, not appearance. Had Victor taken responsibility and taught the creature right from wrong, none of this would have happened. The creature eventually demands a female companion, threatening Victor with total destruction if he refuses. While I understand the creature's pain, I cannot excuse the violence. Victor agrees, then destroys the second creation out of fear. More deaths follow. Henry, Elizabeth, both creator and creation become monsters in different ways. So the novel concludes aboard Walton's ship again, where Victor dies consumed by vengeance and regret. The creature appears one last time, not victorious but broken. Neither is innocent. Both are responsible. Victor failed as a creator and a father figure. The creature failed by surrendering to rage and jealousy. Frankenstein is ultimately a story about abandonment, responsibility, and the consequences of unchecked ambition. And my final thoughts: Frankenstein by Mary Shelley is a beautiful, tragic, cautionary tale about defying the natural order of life and death, and refusing to take responsibility afterward. It can also be read as the story of an unwanted child abandoned by their father, forced to learn morality through pain and rejection. I give Frankenstein by Mary Shelley an 8.9 out of 10.